Welcome to Dice Control Dojo. I'm Phil, and I practice daily and share my tips so we can all get better at the casino. Today, we're talking about detailed. We're getting into a detailed series here today is about your shoulder in large muscle groups. Why that is important, how you practice that, what you do with your wrists and fingers, which we'll talk about in later series, and what can go wrong in your large muscle groups so that we can analyze that and make sure that you're doing the right thing. So let's start off with, once again in the morning, part of my practice routine, besides warming up the hands, is the large muscles, getting this shoulder. And why is that important? You have small muscles groups and large muscle groups. Your large muscle group is the one that should be doing all of the heavy lifting when it comes to your swing. Okay, your swing is just these muscles right here. Your wrist and your finger muscles and your thumb muscles, those are almost frozen. And when you see in a lot of slow motion throws, a little while ago I set a slow motion throw, which I highly recommend. You put your iPhone on slow-mo, take it behind you, take it in front of you. I'm going to show you lots of videos on that because you can see a lot of mistakes when you go nice and slow. But your muscle groups, when you're coming set, right, and you have your hands and your legs, your toes, your feet are centered, you're over your dice. You're coming over here like this. You have your ledge in your thumb, and this is now the relaxed position. So warming up in the morning, making sure that this shoulder is loose is important because that's the only muscles that are working when you're throwing. These are all now just to keep those dice together. That's the only job that the wrist, the fingers, and the thumb have at this point once you're over your dice. The thumb is just relaxing and just barely holding onto those dice because when you come off of the throw, those dice through centrifugal force are going to be releasing. But what's moving here? Let's look at this. Break this down. It's right here, right? It's the movement. I'm doing a little backswing because I want these muscles to enact, right? A lot of people like to come right off of the floor, right? And I used to do this too. But what you're doing, how are you pushing? How are you getting those dice off of the floor? What is causing this swing right here? So you're releasing right here, right? Let's think about this for a second. What moves that? Is it your large muscle groups? There's a tendency for to be pulling from here, right? What is pushing off this dice is some wrist, some small muscle groups, some wrist. Think about that for a second. So I know a lot of people like to come off of the floor like this, and they do that. And I get it, and it's okay. That's the way you do it. That's fine. But I'm just trying to show you how my thought process is once I'm over this dice, if I'm moving back just a couple inches, I'm not talking a big backswing because then you're going to come around just like in golf. You're going to swing left or right or inappropriate. I just want to release the muscle group. It's here and it's relaxed. I want it to release back just a little bit, right? That's going to make my shoulder, these muscles back here, release, right? They move. It's not you're not moving your shoulder like this. You're moving just the bicep, the shoulder, it's just this back swing. So you're completely stiff here. Nothing's moving, but I just want to get that hitch back here to come back, so then it's a nice relaxing swing forward. All right? So what you're doing is you're enacting your muscles. You're making the muscles in a pendulum kind of way, right? Start the energy to come back so that when you release forward, it's just your upper muscles right here. It's just here that's moving. I can't emphasize this enough. How do you get that energy once you get that muscle mass to move back a little bit? Now it's enacted. Now you have the inertia to move the dice forward. Okay? So you're starting the release of the muscle, and then you're going forward. So that's my philosophy on this. Hey, you guys can give me some comments and feedback on your thoughts. I know people like to come right off the floor. My buddies do. They come right off. But for me, I like to release the energy in a little backswing. Now, when you're doing a little backswing, what can go wrong? If you're going back, and when I go in slow motion, sometimes if I'm off, right, I'm going to throw diagonal this way. If I do a little backswing, and I could go this way. So it's important when you're practicing that you're going along the lines of these pass bar, the pass line, the don't pass line, right? You want to make sure that's straight. So when you're practicing in the morning, right, and I'm doing my last 9 pickups when I'm dropping the dice down like that, I'm also thinking of my muscle mass, right? So I'm moving over, it's on the ledge, it's relaxed, my thumb is relaxed, and I just do a little swing like this, just a little swing, like, am I aligned? Am I aligned? Now if I'm aligned on that little pendulum, when I look down at where I'm aiming, right, now hopefully I'm going in the right direction. And you got to start picking your landing zone. But right now, the wrist, the thumb, the fingers, I'm relaxing them down. I'm doing a little bit of a hitch in the backswing to release these muscles right here. Shoulder, bicep, tricep. Those are the only 3 things pendulum moving. This shoulder's steady. The chest muscles are relaxed. Everything's relaxed. Neck muscles. Looking at my landing zone. And I'm just releasing this muscles right here. So that's the only thing happening. These are all straight so that when I release, they're staying into my circle. Nothing's moving here. So on a swing, it's all large muscle group. And you have to make sure it's going straight. So on your practice in the morning, you're warming up your shoulders. You're coming over your dice. The 9 drops that I do, so I make sure my fingers are loose enough. But it's that practice swing. Is it going straight? I'm using that mirror right there. I'm using this mirror right here. When I'm holding those dice and I'm coming over, am I straight? Am I aligned? So that when I come to the rip and grip part, there's no thought process. See? Everything's stiff here except for this shoulder is the only thing doing the swinging. Right? And I'm looking straight and I'm seeing a nice straight throw. I'm looking down, I'm seeing a nice straight throw. When I'm looking at that mirror right there, I'm seeing a nice straight throw. And it's all muscle group. So talk about detail on the throw. Once again, why it's important is to make sure you're warming up. The why is that if the large muscle group is the only thing doing the work, you can't screw up because of a wrist action, left, right, up, and down, this big rotation. You can't screw up if your ledge is off, is all moving, if your thumb is putting pressure down or not. If these are all set in your large muscle groups, the only thing moving, that's going to cut down a lot of risk for error. So you have to practice this. Make sure your pendulum is nice. A nice little backswing to enact the inertia of your large muscle group, and then making sure it goes off without a hitch. We'll talk on later videos about what we're talking about with when you're releasing, if the large muscle group, what things happen when you go. We'll analyze that and see, was it a large muscle group or were your fingers doing it? But we'll review all that. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about fingers. We're going to talk about exactly what we're talking about, the circle, and making sure that these, when it's released, are staying the exact same. Nothing's moving. And it's so funny when I do my videos, slow motion, I'm moving them. That's a major problem with me. And is it my fingers are aligned? So it'll be a good discussion tomorrow. So join me tomorrow where we're going to talk about detailing the throw about the fingers. And as always, with all of my videos, the best strategy and the only strategy you'll see in Dice Control Dojo is to learn how to throw for a long, long time.